I hope everybody's doing well on a Saturday. Look, I I've been looking into this situation and I'm confused because I would think that a lot of let's say conservative Second Amendment types, gun rights types, gun ownership types would be all over this particular case. And from what I've seen, the all gun organizations, of course, but for what I've seen, they haven't. I wanted to do this video just to sort of highlight what's going on as I see it. Look, if some new information gets introduced, it gets introduced. I am obligated to change my position, but I've looked into this and I've thoroughly researched it as is, and I know there's an internal investigation still ongoing. From what I know, this situation happened 2 months ago. Now, you guys may be familiar with Breonna Taylor, who was shot dead in her own apartment. But I want to talk about the boyfriend that was involved. Now, to give you guys some sort of feedback from what we know to be public, there was a raid, if you will, or more so, there was a no-knock warrant that was served at the apartment, for the apartment that Breonna Taylor was living out of. Now, because there's no body cams or anything like that, it's going to be hard to know what exactly happened. And thankfully, one of the parties is still alive in Kenneth Walker, who is the boyfriend in this situation. But it's basically going to be their word against the others. Now, I would argue that it's not even relevant pertaining to this. But what happened was one party is arguing that they never asked to come in or anything like that. And the police are saying, no, we did that. Now, again, who are you going to believe? The warrant itself, though, was a no-knock warrant. So either way, they get in. Kenneth Walker, which is the boyfriend of Breonna Taylor, shoots one of them. I believe shot him in the leg or something of that nature. He's saying that, of course, it was out of self-defense. He is in jail for attempted murder of a police officer. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? But when you understand what happened, I can't possibly fathom why exactly he's being charged with attempted murder. The reason why a lot of people are talking about this whole Breonna Taylor situation is because it looks like it was botched, because Kenneth Walker was not on this warrant. He had nothing to do with it. He had absolutely nothing to do with it. Breonna Taylor was not named in the warrant or anything like that. Both of them don't have any like criminal records in this regards that's relevant or anything like that. As far as we know, they're what you guys like to say, law-abiding citizens. And what happened was the guy that seems to be centered around this is this guy by the name of Jamarcus Glover, who's already in police custody, by the way. But they assumed that and picked it up by way of their own, I guess, private. They're only not private, but their investigations and an informant or what have you, saying that there were drugs being sold, stashed, and this Jamarcus Glover guy, I believe is his name, is part of this. Now, those two did date. So that's how he's connected to Breonna Taylor, because 2 years ago, they that at least is confirmed that they were dating at the time. And they said that he was using her address as now Breonna Taylor's this 26-year-old EMT, again, not a criminal or anything like that, but they were using they suspect that he was using her address, and I believe they even actually found some of his mail that was there. But they believe that he was using his address to stash her address, to stash drugs and so forth there. Now, they found no drugs at this spot. Now, I can go full libertarian and say, look, if there were drugs that were sold voluntarily through consenting adults, whatever. But that we can't even have that conversation because there were no drugs there. So we can't even have that conversation. There were no drugs there. So as it looks, They bust through the door of someone else's apartment that had nothing to do with it. Or in a sense that, yes, it's her apartment, and she may have been connected to the guy years ago, but she was not named on this warrant. It was just the address. So it was almost unfortunately, wrong guy. Okay. But he was already in custody, which kind of makes this situation weird. Nonetheless, no matter how you feel about that, what Kenneth did should not be ever classified as attempted murder. Because I was looking at it like putting myself in his shoes, right? Because he's for sure not connected in any of this, as it looks now. Also, again, not a criminal, which isn't really relevant to this particular situation, but he's not a criminal. I know that some of you guys care about that stuff, but he's not. But I look at it like, okay, before me and Lady Ripple was actually living in the same house. If I was over her house and someone just bust through the door, I'm thinking, that's what I got the damn gun for. That's what I got the gun for. I just don't understand how you are the aggressor and you charge someone else with attempted murder. You are the one that is serving this warrant. And a man who, again, he's a consenting party at the end of the day because he was supposed to be there. She allowed him to be there. It wasn't his apartment, let's be clear, but she allowed him to be there. So he's looking at it like protecting myself, protecting her. Now, this is where the conflict's going to happen between those guys that sort of worship the cops. They're going to be like, well, she should have just listened, all of this other stuff. Look, all of the 2A, all of that stuff, and the come and take it, and the don't tread, and you're all for this Second Amendment and stuff. What are those, just slogans and hashtags? Just because these guys have a pretty little badge that gives them this authority to do stuff like this doesn't mean that he's in the wrong. What, because you are an authority figure and you got shot busting through someone else's house? Like, I don't understand how they're the aggressor and this man is he's in jail right now, being charged with attempted murder for police officers. And if someone has some new information, present it to me, send it through my email via Twitter or something like that. I've researched it from multiple different credible sources, and from what I'm seeing, like this is bizarre. Of all things, attempted murder. When again, considering what we know about this, again, you weren't there. You weren't even there to go bring in Breonna Taylor or Kenneth Walker. But even if you, the old boyfriend who may have been involved in this, may have a connection to her, Kenneth has no connection to him. So that's you. But he was a consenting party, right? At the end of the day. Now look at it like they busted through someone though to bring in a murder of someone. They just assumed that this man was bringing in drugs and stuff like that, and he was stashing them there. And they didn't find any drugs. So even if they thought that what they thought was happening was not happening, and the whole point that they say, the point of the no knock is, and why it has that provision in the warrant, is because they may stash it if they know that we're coming. They may, flush it down the toilet. They may do all of these different things. They have cameras and stuff. They'll know that we're coming, and that's why that's there. Now, that's what's currently under dispute because Kenneth saying, no, y'all never asked to come in or anything like that. Y'all just busted. We just heard the explosion, bust through the door, and that was it. The cops are saying, even though there's a no-knock warrant provision in the warrant, they're saying that they actually did indeed let them know that they were needing to get in. So that's the part that's going to be hard. There's no body cams or anything as from what we picked up. That's the part that's going to be under dispute. Either way, I can't see under any logical sense that this man is in jail for an attempted murder for shooting at them when they bust through the door. I don't care if you have a badge. I don't care who you are. If I'm at someone's, definitely if it's a person that I care and love, and I'm at their house and I have my gun, that's what I got the damn thing for. Now, a whole nother situation is Breonna being dead, right? That's a whole nother, that's a different thing. What I specifically wanted to talk about was this man, this brother's in jail for attempted murder, for shooting at a cop. I think he only shot him in the leg, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure that I have this information correct. Yes, it says here, police have said his bullet struck. It said Walker fired a weapon. Police have said his bullet struck this Jonathan Mattingly in the leg, requiring surgery. And then they returned fire more than 20 rounds. I just don't, even if you are, some of these bootlickers are going to be like, they're going to make the argument that, well, he shouldn't have done it and all of this. And they're the aggressors here, guys. They're the aggressors here. That ain't on him to make he did, and he only shot him in the leg, by the way. I don't know what possible new information, and this is why I waited to do the video, but after I picked up everything and what is being introduced, again, this happened back in March, what's been introduced, what we know seems to already be out there. At minimum, we can pretty much concede, I would think, unless there's some bombshell information that's going to be introduced, that there's an issue here. Attempted murder of a police. I know you guys, some of you guys have this emotional cling to the cops, and y'all think these guys can do whatever the hell they want, and every person must listen to everything that they say. I'd make the argument that even if they did make themselves, we like, hey guys, can we have a talk? If you bust up into someone's door for any reason, no matter who you are, definitely when there's you talking about two parties that aren't even involved in whatever it is that you're this warring situation, and you bust in that door and you get aired out, I don't care who you are, that's on you. You the aggressor. I don't know what new information can be introduced that could change my position on this, but if it does, I'll do a follow-up video and I'll say, okay, this happened that made it justified. But I don't see what the hell possible, but from what we know, what possibly could be introduced that could then say, well, yeah, he should have got charged with attempted murder of a police officer. Oh my God.